Hi, I'm Izzy from Geekseat, and as you're about to embark on your software development journey, one very important question you're probably considering is how much will it cost to build my application? In this video, we'll be exploring some of the questions around cost and budget to help you on your way. Let's get to it. The first step in the software development process is to understand how much capital you need to turn your idea or business requirement into a tangible fit for purpose application. So how much does it cost to build my application? Here's the two-word answer to that question. Nobody knows. At this early point in the life cycle of your potential project, there is absolutely no way of knowing the full cost for building your application. This was explained in our Why is Scoping So Important video, so be sure to check it out and learn more about the entire scoping process. Even though you may understand your target user, have a great idea of the things that you want to see in your application, as well as done some early branding work, once you move into the first real stage of software development, so many things change, which is why scoping is important. So, I can't have an estimate until after scoping? It's difficult to give cost estimates upfront before scoping because the scoping process is the foundation of your development project. It's the first essential step in getting it off the ground. Not knowing how much it costs to build your app up front can be frustrating, but isn't it better to have a meaningful cost estimate instead of a meaningless one? If your development company is prepared to give you an estimate before scoping, you should build in a buffer of anywhere up to 80%. That's right. The actual cost of building your application could be as much as 80% more than was indicated to you before any scoping work has been done. This figure is based on a well-known and accepted principle called the cone of uncertainty. Some companies will give you pre-scope estimates based on broad categorizations, such as whether your project is a small, medium, or large one. But the good ones will make the cost range broad to take into consideration the cone of uncertainty principle. What about after scoping? Once you have completed the scoping process, your developer has a clearer idea of what your application is going to look like and how difficult or easy it's going to be to build. Your idea may have been fully fleshed out, or at a minimum, the initial milestones of the project will be known. Only at this point can a development company give you a realistic, detailed cost breakdown. But even at this stage, any estimate can only be based on what is known at that specific point in time. This is because software development projects have a habit of changing course as they progress. There is the unavoidable reality that not every technical challenge can be foreseen at the beginning of a development build, and sometimes there are surprises. A good set of estimates will already factor in known unknowns, but when a developer encounters an unknown unknown, it can often mean more time than anticipated is needed to figure out the issue, and time is money. Now that we've looked at scoping, you might be wondering, is there a way to find out how much I will be spending before scoping is done? Well, yes you can. The easiest way to know exactly how much you'll be spending on your project is by fixing the cost up front. You can do this with your development company by having a conversation letting them know what your absolute maximum budget is, giving your development company as much information as you can upfront about the application you want to build, letting your development company advise you on how realistic your project is given the available funds, making sure you allocate enough budget for scoping, as trying to save money at this stage will actually end up costing you more. As you move through the scoping process, your team should be able to make sure you are not asking for so much functionality that you blow your budget. It's their job to make sure they keep an eye on how big the project is getting and keep things under control. Your scope team project manager should be asking you to prioritize all the functions of your app using something along the lines of must have functionality, should have functionality, or could have functionality. Prioritizing your functionalities based on these three groups is important because even the best scope teams can't judge exactly what they have scoped the precise amount of cool stuff to fit neatly into a set budget. Carefully consider what the users of your application really want and need. This may mean you require things like third-party integrations, cutting-edge technology, hardware, or a combination of both desktop and native mobile apps. Underscoping can impact the length of time it takes to build as well as cost. So, how can I keep the cost down? The best way to keep your initial costs under control is to start small and enhance your app over time. Pick a single compelling problem that you want to solve for your users with your new app and build a solution specifically for that. This approach is called the minimum viable product or MVP approach. It's much more beneficial to start with a simple app, release it, learn what your users think about it, and then add more functionality and re-release based on that feedback. This cycle is called the build, measure, learn cycle and can lead to a much better fit between what your users want and what you give them. This is often called the product market fit, and you should be laser focused on this. To help you understand how to think about MVP apps, let's summarize what an MVP is and what it isn't. The MVP is designed to drive change by experimenting with new ideas. The MVP is created to solve a real problem. It gets your target users interested. The MVP is there to generate user feedback, so you can use it to drive the next iteration of your app. The MVP is smaller than you might expect. A large budget isn't required to learn from your users. The MVP is not a profit generator, it's a learning opportunity. The MVP is not meant to wow your users. It's about solving a single problem. The MVP is not the finished product. It's just the first stage of your new business. The MVP is not set in stone. It's supposed to change according to feedback. As you can see, there are many ways to determine the cost of building an app. Don't be afraid to have an open and honest conversation with your development company about your budget, and be sure to pick the solution or partner that works best for you. I hope this video gives you some valuable insight and helps you safely navigate your development journey. Good luck with your project!